I want my little game to give me points when I click the green ball, and then to cost me points when I click the orange square. And for that to work, JavaScript needs to know how many points I have, so that every time I click the green ball, I get one more point than I already had, and every time I click the orange square, I lose a point, so I will have one less point than I already had. And of course, it could just ask me to keep track of that myself, but of course I want the program to do it for me. If I had to keep track of it myself, I would need a post-it or something to write down what my score is currently. And then of course I would say console log lose a point. And here when that was for the square, I'm sorry, I'm already messing up my own rules. Console log get a point. And then I would just have to keep track of this. Every time I click get a point, I can write down, that now I'm just writing it here, now I'm at 1, and get a point, yes, now I'm at 2, and get a point, I'm at 3, and get a point, I'm losing a point, I had 3, so I lost 1, so that's 2. This is not at all how we want the program to work. And then again, we want it to have a place to keep track of how many points, and that kind of place is a variable. So we just need to create a variable that keeps track of our points. So let's do that. We create variables by writing the word let, and let just means let there be a variable of this name, and we can call it almost whatever we want, like the rules like for functions and classes, but it's our own name, so let's just call it points. And then of course we need to say, okay, here we have a variable. If we just let it be as it is, console log you have points, and then we console log the points. And since it's a variable we now created, it's part of JavaScript, and we don't need to put it in quotes, just like our functions when we have created them, and we can reference them without quotes here. So we'll just write points and see that when I click the green ball, it should say undefined here. So our variable is undefined. If we didn't have the variable like this, then it would say points is not defined. And when we do have it, it says it's undefined. So apparently JavaScript draws a fine line between not defined and undefined. Yeah, I know. But we can set this, we can define it to something. We have declared it now. This is the declaration. The variable has been declared, and now we can set it equal to, say, 2. It's just a number I made up. So that should tell us you have points 2. So this is a variable, and we can change it afterwards. We can say no, now that we've now points should be 3. It should be 1 more, and just console log points have changed. And remember, all these console logs, that's just information for myself, all of them, just because I want to keep track of what's going on in the program. And I'm going to console log the points again. So I click it, I have points 2, and the points have changed and are now 3. So excellent, this works. And remember the difference. When you write let points, then you create the variable, then you declare it. You can only do that once, but every time you write points followed by equal something, then you set the value. This let points, that's like taking a post-it and putting it on the fridge, and setting it equal to something is like writing something on that post-it and erasing what was there. If we by accident write let points again, we get errors immediately. Both ESLint tells us that points has already been declared, and the console also tells us that points has already been declared, and that is because it's declared right here. So don't do that. So this gives us 3 points every time we click. Just 3 points. We're not counting yet, but before we start counting, I just want to change it so that when I click the square, I get a different amount of points. So that'll be in the next video.